Okay, we are live. So, hello everyone. I am Sanjay Gupta. I welcome you back on Skill Horizon YouTube channel, and I have Kunal with me. Kunal, welcome back on the channel.
Thanks, Sanjay.
So, as you guys know, we already completed ServiceNow admin bootcamp, and there was total 5 sessions we conducted, and
Yeah,
Kunal kind of shared all the knowledge like how that platform works and different configuration thing that you can implement. I hope you have gone through with all the session. And to continue the spirit, we have development sessions for you. So in this series, we'll be having around 6 to 8 sessions where you will be learning everything about ServiceNow development, like how you can do code here, which language we'll be using, and how we can customize the platform. Okay, so Kunal will be sharing all that knowledge with you so that you can have a base prepared. So these sessions like admin bootcamp and development bootcamp for ServiceNow, we are just doing to share some knowledge so that you can get familiarity with ServiceNow. And once you learn those things and you want to deep dive and you want to become job ready for ServiceNow ecosystem, where lots of job opportunities are available. So we will be launching our job readiness training programs, both online and offline, from November. So you can visit this website where you can find all the details. You will be finding WhatsApp groups links, and you can join those. So we will be sharing those details soon. So till the time you can enjoy all the sessions, we'll be having one session every week so that you can have your base prepared. Okay, so yeah, this is what I was having. So now over to you, Kunal. So let's proceed
th-
further.
yeah. Thanks, Sanjay. Uh, I'll just start by saying this that throughout these sessions for developers, we will assume a basic amount of knowledge about ServiceNow how it works, since we have covered that in our administrator bootcamp. And so today we will cover some basics, but I won't go into detail as to where to click and how to click and what is double click. That is something I will assume you know already. If you don't, pause this, go back and look at that, come back here, since you might miss some things if you don't know that. Before we start, as a developer, I want everyone who's looking for a job, especially freshers, to understand this is that actual development in development industry in any agency, ServiceNow, Salesforce, Oracle, wherever you go, the actual development part comprises 20 to 25% of your time. Rest, everything is managing. And yes, you would say, I'm a technical person, I'm not a manager, I didn't go to an MBA school to do that. But that is not how things work. You do not develop software for computers, you develop them for humans, for your fellow humans. You are trying to automate process for them. And for that, you need to talk to them and you need to understand their requirements. And if you can do that, that is what will differentiate you from someone who is just a developer. And if you want to rise quickly, learn how to communicate and learn how business works. It's not very hard. You go to, for example, you go to a Vodafone store and say, I want this done. Then you already are creating demand to that service executive, right? And now he has to understand how to provide the service to you. So that is business part. So you need to understand what your end user wants and what is the best way to provide that to them. Okay, given that understanding that, let's jump directly into what are we going to cover in today's session. We will go through a very quick overview of how ServiceNow works, what is client side and what is server side development. We will quickly go through what is the difference between developer and administration. We will go through what different type of application exists in ServiceNow platform, scope versus global applications. And then we'll quickly through what development tools you should have to become a good developer in ServiceNow. Let's start with overview of ServiceNow. ServiceNow is a very big platform. And when I say very big, it's actually bigger than its competitor in the sense that it targets Fortune 500 companies, and any company from Coca-Cola to Fujitsu to Meta, they even Infosys, even Genpact in India, they all use ServiceNow for their inner operations. And that is why ServiceNow has become a very big platform, especially for Indians, because they are expanding their development teams in India. They are one of the very few companies who have invested heavily in southern part of India and Hyderabad. They are creating global capacitation centers in India, and that is where the opportunities for this is coming. ServiceNow started back in 2004. The primary aim for creating ServiceNow was to replace email in any ecosystem. For example, if you're a big company and there are several things that need to happen, you are trying to onboard a new employee, they need several approvals, they need several laptops, they need a cell phone, and everything used to happen through email. And they decided, no, we don't want that. We will create a new system. And that system did exist, but they created a better form of it. It is called ITSM, and or commonly known as the ticketing system. They started there, but now they have developed into a humongous platform where everything from CRM to ITSM to management of GRCs, governance and risk, and everything between is covered within ServiceNow. Let's go to the instance. This is how a ServiceNow instance looks. This is a PDI. I think we can cover that again. So if you wish to become a developer, you need to go to this site, developer.servicenow.com. And if once you create an account and log in, you would be given an option to create on a demo instance. They give you a whole instance just for learning. It is called a PDI, personal developer instance. And once, for example, I've logged in, I already have a PDI. So the button says start building. If I click on it, it will open a new window with my instance in it. But if you have recently registered, you would see a button which says request an instance. And just click on the request an instance, choose a platform version. The latest version right now is Zurich, and start building. This is how a ServiceNow instance looks like. It starts like this. All your menu items reside in any option that you favorite will stay in favorites. And whatever you've done in recent times, this will show up here. Workspaces are something that we will not be covering in our sessions, but this is the upcoming new interface that ServiceNow has introduced, and it is up and rising, but it's a bit more typical than what we would be covering right now. Since I am an admin, I also have an admin menu, which allows me to control the instance within granular details. On the right-hand side, this is my user menu. I can choose my profile preference and other things. There's a notification icon. If there's a notification within ServiceNow, I would see that here. There is also sidebar discussion. This is again something we will not be covering. This is more on administration side than the developer. And then this is very important for us developers. This button decides is to in which application scope we are working and which updates that we are working. Application scope is simply the application that you're developing. Update set is collection of updates that you're making to the application. We'll come to this maybe in fifth or sixth session, but for now, I understand this is really important. You need to make sure that you are making changes in the current application scope before you make any changes. That's about it. Now, coming next, on ServiceNow, there are two basic development scopes, you could say it. One is on the client side, one is on the server side. And the major difference being that client side development is changes that are visible on the browser. For example, if you have a form, you could change its value, and that would be the client side development. But on the server side would be the changes that are made directly into the table. The records are changed. We'll take a quick example of both kind of developments. For example, when we were doing admin bootcamp, we created a application student support. Let's see if we created. Yeah, we did create a table in that. So this is student request cable, and we will open this. So any development that affects the user interface without data going and coming back from the server would be client-side development. For example, we will create a new business rule. Business rules are essentially chain scripts that run on defined parameters, and we will create a new business rule. Okay, yeah, business rule run on the server side. So any changes that we make here would be called server-side development. So what we will, so it's actually really slow. That's okay. So we will show alert when short description changes. All right, true. Better now? Right. When short description changes. Right. So what we're doing is that our, our requirement is that we need to show up an alert whenever the short description on this changes. Right. So that's the title. And then we will go as to what filter conditions. So we want to say short description. Oh, there is no short description here. What field do we have? Okay, let's pick name and we'll change it here as well. Changes. Name start with, or we'll say name changes. That's it. If name changes and if it is a update transaction, we need to do this. I want to send a message. You have changed the name for this record. That's it. And we will submit this. Okay, let's go back and open this in a new tab so that we still have businesses there. We will change Sanjay. I will change this to Sanjay Gupta, and we would save this. Then moment we change it, we get a notification saying you just change the name for this record. Very plain and simple. But remember, this only happened after this change went to the server and came back. And that is why the screen refreshed. So it is a very clear distinction. The client side changes are triggered when there is no refresh, there is no server call. But if you save a record, then it happens on the server side, and that is server side development. Now we've done that, we will make another change that would be on our client side. So we will do it client scripts. We'll create another one. We will say alert if name contains example. UI type, we are looking at both changes, desktop or mobile application. Type is on change. And the field name that we're targeting is name. Now, like Sanjay said, we will learn what language is used in ServiceNow. So ServiceNow itself on the backend is a Java application. But as we extend the platform, we do not have access to Java side. That is totally hidden from us. We used to have access to Java, but that has stopped almost 10 years now. So what we have access is JavaScript. And in particular, this JavaScript is, let me check if I remember, Rhino.js. So this is open source implementation of JavaScript. And this is what runs inside ServiceNow. Now, this is important. Why? Because this is not the same JavaScript that runs on your browser or on the node development, that is JavaScript backend development. This is a different implementation that is done by Mozilla. And what that means is that it may not be up to date. It may not contain all the functions that you would have available when you're working with browser JavaScript. So we have access to JavaScript. Now, any script tag or any script field in ServiceNow will look like this. So this part is something that is controlled by ServiceNow function on change, which is very clear that this function will run when there is a change in field name. And these are the values that are provided out of box for you. For example, what is the old value of this field and what is a new value? Is page loading, and is this populated using a template? Is template and control a kind of out of context, out of the scope that we are covering? For now, we will just focus on these two values, old value and new value. And what that means is that old value is value of this field before this change was triggered, and new value is the current value. And it all client script normally start with this. You can remove it. That is for you to decide, but normally this should be kept, which means if the page is loading, then you don't need this to run, or the new value is empty. In that case, don't run, just return. That will uh, exit this function. But for now, we will continue from here, and we will say if new value index of example is greater than -1, and we will say gform add error. We'll share error. You name contains example string, which is not allowed. Simply nothing else. So we will go through what we return. New value will contain the current value of the field, and we are checking if it contains example, which is more than -1, because index of will give you the starting point that can be 0. If it is 0 or more, that means we did find this inside the string. If it comes out to true, we say gform. Gform is a class because if you see, we don't have it. So even this is a form, by the way. This is also a record. So this is a form, and you can access this form using g_form class. And in that class, we have a function that is add error message, and just add the message, and that will show up as a function. I'll save this. If you remember, save is better than submit in most cases, because when you save, you stay on this page. Submit means it will go to the previous page, which you may or may not want. Let's go to Sanjay. And if I change it to anything else, Sanjay Gupta, Jaipur, nothing happens. But if I would change this to example, it should show us name contains example string, which is not allowed. Let's go back, and what we can do is that we will revert this value to the previous value, and that is gform, set value name and old value, and we will let user know that we have reverted value reverted to prevent disaster. Okay, and we will save this, and we will refresh this page to make sure that we have the new client script, and we will say example, and the moment it changes, the example is removed and value has been reverted to prevent disaster. That's a joke, but yeah. So these are two different kind of development. One is on the server side and one is on the client side. And which is to be used is again a business decision that a developer has to make. It will depend on what the requirement is. For example, if someone says the requirement is that name should never contain example, and if we were to just make this, it looks it working, but as in web development, the validation should be done on both ends, client end and server end. There is a possibility that you might miss out and someone finds a way to put an example in the name. You won't be able to prevent it. So client side should always be an indication to user as to how the application has to be used. Remember, because it is on the client side, you cannot force anything, which means client side is a browser and browser is in control of end user. They can change the rules. But when you put the uh, same validation on the server side, that is foolproof. Okay, but again, once you actually start doing some example, you realize what is the difference between two and which development has to be done for what kind of requirements. Development versus administration. So we covered administration, ServiceNow administration in last session. We will go through once again what is the main difference as to what happens, what is the requirement of a developer and what is the requirement of administrator. We'll start with administrator. Administrator is someone which is often known as sysadmin, system administrator. And that is a post that exists in all platforms, may it be simple development, maybe it Oracle, maybe ServiceNow, Salesforce, everywhere. These are the people who would be in charge of making sure the your application is working as expected. They are the first touch that end users get. For example, if they have any issues, if their password is not working, if they think the application is not working, administrator is the first person that gets in touch with them. And if something is wrong, and if he believes that some development end use developer has to step in, he is the person who decides. For example, password is not working. Now there are two possibilities. One, the application is not geared to accept password. There is some bug, then it goes to developer. But most probable reason is that end user forgot their password and now they just need it to be reset. So these are the different kind of roles that come between developer and administrator. Administrator will decide whether an application should be upgraded or not. Developer decide what goes into which application. These kind of things differentiate between developer and administrator. In ServiceNow, at least the process of to get to a developer normally goes through being an administrator. For example, you are better equipped to be a developer if you know how administration works, simply because now you know how ServiceNow works. And if you have even 6 months or 8 months experience being an administrator, there's a good chance you'll understand how ServiceNow works and what are the changes that you need to put in and being a better developer. That is point two. Now we come to applications. Now, ServiceNow being an application itself, it has multiple things that come pre-installed when you get an instance. And there are more than 1,000 tables that are created before you get your hands on it. And those are in global scope. Global scope is a lot more powerful because it has access to more classes than your scoped application. But at the same time, when you are extending functionality of ServiceNow categorically recommends that you do every change within a scoped application. And why is that? Because scoped application runs in a sandbox environment where you have limited access to global tables and global tables have limited access to your tables. And when you create two different application A, application B, you can decide whether entities out of your application can access your data, can modify data, what can be done and what cannot be done. It also allows you to uninstall an application. For example, you created 200 tables and now everything has gone wrong. If that were done in global scope, you would have to go step by step, delete every table, every functionality that you created on top of it, But if it is scope application, you simply pick the application and delete everything within it. That makes your administration a lot easier. What we will do as a demo today is that we will open up a ServiceNow Studio and we will create a new application from scratch. Let's close this and let me show you how to get to ServiceNow Studio. ServiceNow Studio. And once you click on it, you will get to an environment similar to this. On your left-hand side, you already have two scoped applications that I have created, but we are here to create a new one. Create a new application. It will open a form for us. And we are employee onboarding application. An application to ease the onboarding process for new employees. You can add a logo. I'm going to skip that for now. But the important part is that we are creating a new scoped application and not a global application. We are not going to work in global application. We'll continue. Now we can add custom roles to our application. These are helpful when we set up security. Normally, ServiceNow recommends that you add at least two users. One would be your application administrator, app admin, and second would be a base user known as just user. We will stick with these two roles and make changes if we need it at a later period, a later time. And now ServiceNow is creating an application for us. Now, this process can be done manually, but ServiceNow has provided this wizard kind of functionality, which is a great thing, right? Now the application has been created and we can go and view app details. All right, so if you understand how development in other languages work, that there's a concept known as namespace, and that in ServiceNow is known as scope. So every tool, every table you create would be prepended with this X employee 0. Now this is short of our application name, and 1822728 is a number that has been assigned to my user. So any application that I create will always start with this number and then the application name. When you work in paid instances, this is PDI, you will actually get yourself a scope name that will be short for your company name. Right, so now we have this application created. Sys ID is GUID for our application. There's a unique identification for our application. And this is GUID 4, which means it is unique across all application in ServiceNow platform. That is it. For now, there are just two changes in this application. Those are the two rules that we created for it. Now let us create a table in it so that we understand how things work inside ServiceNow Studio. We will create a new file. So we want to create data and we go to a table. Today, we are going through more of a click and proceed kind of development. Everything that we're doing can be done in this interface as well. But this is something that ServiceNow is provided. So I think we should start using this as well. So we are creating a new table and we would create a employee table. Create a blank table, continue, create new table, continue. We would say employee table employee table, and we will add auto number, which means each record of this table will have a field called number, and it will start like this: employee 001, 002, 003. This is just made easy so that when a end user is looking at a table, they don't actually have to remember the GUID or SysID. They can remember this number. All right, so we will create security on this table. We expect that admin should be able to do everything, that is create, read, write, and delete on this. But as a user, I would want it to create, read, and write, but I don't want them to delete. So we will set this up this way. Uh, Going through this wizard sets up ACLs, access control list, automatically for us. We will cover that in the later sessions, but for now, we can suffice that this is how it works. It will create the table, and then it will ask us to create columns on this table. Edit table. We don't need this, and we don't need this. We will create a new field, and we'll say name. We expect that to the label and name. It automatically creates column name for you, but you could change if you wanted. We want it to be string. Yes, we want it string, but we obviously want the string to be a lot longer. Then we will make it 150 values. We don't need a default value. That's okay. We will set default to true. I will come to it why, but yeah, for now, this record, whenever you ask for a reference, it will give us the name of the employee. And we will say date of joining. This will automatically create this, but we want this to be a date. We want this to be date, not date time. Once that is done, max length is not required. We will also set up the profile or job profile. And we will keep the string and keep it as 40. That is, and we will save this. And we have added this. Now let's go to forms. We can modify how the form looks like. And for example, it only has number, but we obviously want this number to be a read-only field, and we will add name to it. And then we'll add date of joining, and we will add job profile to it. We'll save this. We will not touch flows now, but flows are essentially automation based on changes on your table. We will cover that in later sessions. For now, we'll go to our normal interface and search for what was the table name? Employee. Did it add? Yeah, it did not create a module for it. So let's create a new module. Okay, we close this now, and we will refresh this. Now you can see we have a table here. Now we need to create a new application menu for us to access this. We will create a new application menu for our application. Okay, and we'll call it employee onboarding. Do we want a role that is able to see this? Yes, we will add a basic role app user if it shows up. Okay, we'll come to this later. We will submit this employee onboarding. And we will add the user that we should have here. This is the user role and done. And then we'll create some modules in it. So application menu would be, for example, this employee center as an application menu, and each link within it is a module. This is again something we covered in our admin bootcamp. So I'm assuming everybody knows this. And we will create a new module for this. I need to save this. When you click new here, it automatically selects the application menu for us. So we will say employees, and this is link type list of records, and we want to show employee table. And this is the employee table. And that is it. We will just submit. We can refresh this now, and it will show us this. And we can go here and refresh this. It should now load. Still loading. I think once we are done with this, we will connect our application to GitHub. And I think that would be today's session. But this doesn't seem to work. Okay, let's refresh this whole page. Yeah, okay. So we need employee onboarding. What did we call it? It's the shirt. Okay. We'll wait for this to load. But in the meanwhile, one thing really important is that we connect our application with a Git resource. Why is that important? Very simply because you want to make sure that all your changes that you have are recorded somewhere else. Especially when you're working with a PDI. Remember, PDI is a free resource that is provided to you from ServiceNow. So they do not guarantee at all as to if this is preserved. For example, if they have an urgency, they have an issue, they'll simply delete your PDI and send you an email saying your PDI was deleted and create a new one if you want. So whenever you create a custom application, you should always push that to your Git resource. And how to connect with Git, that is something we will cover now. So let me remind, how do I do that? Keep forgetting. So this will open deployment, not this, right? Okay, right. If I go to Studio, App Engine Studio, you go to App Engine Studio and select the application that you created. Once you select that, you can connect to a source control, link to source control, and you would need your Git instance number and a credential to connect with that. And for that, we will go to GitHub and create one new repo and one credential that we can provide ServiceNow so that it can connect to it. I'll go to my GitHub, click on new. Let's see, I'll copy the name of the instance and employee on boarding, right? That's the name of the application. We will keep it private, and that's it. We'll create new repository. Now, GitHub does not allow you to connect using a username and password, but it allows you to create a token, or let's go there. Where is setting? Where do I keep it? Setting profile. No, that is not settings. All right, when you get to settings, there would be something called developer settings. You go there and then you create a personal access token, fine grained token. I already have multiple of those, but for this, we would create a new one and we'll call it dev and employee on boarding. All right, yeah, right, right. So we will create this and we will connect it to very limited of number of repositories. And that means search, which is the repo. Yeah, this is the repo we want. And once you have, you need to define what permission does this token have on this repo. So we want it to have access to content, commit statuses, custom properties, deployments, pull request. I think that should be it. Let's add issues as well. Yeah, that's it. We will give these and we will give read and write, custom properties, read and write, deployment, read and write, issues, read and write, pull request, read and write. So what we did was we created a new personal access token, which means this token is only valid for this repository and it can only do the permission that we give on this particular repository. And this is considered a lot safer than using your account password because, well, if even if this is leaked, it will only affect this repository, this particular content, and your rest of account is safe. We will generate token. The token is what happened. We should have created a new token, right? Okay. I don't know. Okay. And status. Issues. Set. Read and write. Read and write. Everything is okay. Should create a new token. Right. Okay. Generate token. Now this password is only visible once. Once you close this window, this will go away. So I'll copy this and I will not close this window. I'll go to ServiceNow and create a new credential record. And we will click on new. And this is basic auth. Basic auth essentially means that you're authenticating using username and password. GitHub, Kunal, PAT. And the password we have on the clipboard and my username is Kunal Khatri. Where do you get this is here. So when you are in GitHub and if you click on your profile, for example, profile, this is your username, GitHub/Kunal Khatri. Okay, so that is it. I'll submit this. Don't say for now. So Kunal Khatri PAT. Cool. And we already have a repository that we created. We'll go back there and on loading. We will copy the HTTPS address for this. We'll copy that and we will go to Application Studio. right? So now we have that. We put in the Git address. Branch is something you can decide. ServiceNow recommends that you use this. I don't like it. I always use branch name main, and then we don't necessarily need this, but if you want, you could use it. I want to say Kunal. Oh yeah, this is the one. Credential and link to source control. It will try and connect to GitHub and make the first commit and done. Now we can go to GitHub and refresh this page. And now you see that a simple, oh, sorry, we need to actually merge the initial state application down, create pull request. This is again something I'm assuming everyone is aware of. We are not going to cover how Git works. Merge pull request and confirm merge. The code has been merged from main branch to the branch that we have here. All right, so this is our application, entire application modification that we made are stored in this folder. This is the number that you see here is our application sysID, and inside you have the application record that we created. Everything in ServiceNow is maintained as an XML record. For example, this is the scope that we created. This is where's the name. The name of the application is employee boarding, onboarding, and this is the sysID of the application. These kind of things. So they are already here. And if I were to go into dictionary, that is your table, and you will see that table record is already here. Job, or this is actually the field on your table, and the table date of joining, name, and the job profile, that three fields that we added are here. So everything in ServiceNow in the backend behind the curtain is stored as XML, everything. And you can actually access these using GitHub. I think we have covered most part of it, though I'll cover two more things that need attention. One is developer.servicenow.com. This should be your primary source of information about how ServiceNow works. You go to service developer.servicenow.com, reference API, and for example, when we said G underscore form was a class, you can actually look that up here. That is G underscore form, and all the functions that are available are documented here. Add decoration, we used add error message. So that was it, error message, and it does not return anything. So almost all classes that you can use in ServiceNow are documented on this site. And this should be, without a doubt, your primary source of information before ChatGPT, before forums, before Stack Overflow. Always come and check here. It has notes which will help you understand why and where to use which class. This was client side, and that is why we said API type is client. Then you could use server scoped because our applications are scoped, and we are talking about server-side development. You can click on this, and it will give you all the classes, all the namespace that are available within ServiceNow. One of the most important word would be client record that allows you to access tables, and that is client record class. So these are all documented very clearly. Almost all important functions will have a very small snippet of code that will help you understand how to do things. Another thing that I believe people should be aware of is a browser extension called SNUtils. It is available on Chrome Extension Store. This is based on Firefox, this browser. So let me see if I can get the extension and extensions. And yeah, so this will be SNUtils. and this is the one. This is developed by Arnold Gui, and this person is employee of ServiceNow, but this is not developed by ServiceNow. So this is a personal work. It is an open source application. You can actually look at the code, but this is not something that ServiceNow makes. Everyone in ServiceNow uses it. I've talked to multiple people in ServiceNow. Everybody uses it. But again, this is not by ServiceNow. It's a private application, but an excellent resource when you are developing. And how does this work is that whenever you are in an application and you can click slash on your keyboard and it will open up a menu. For example, if you have a transaction, if you've written a code which has gone into an infinite loop, you can say cancel my transaction. It will cancel a transaction. All transaction have been completed, nothing to cancel. Or if you want to open up a table, you could just copy the table name and slash type this. It will open this table for you. Sorry, but oh, sorry, I copied the list again. So it will open the table for you. There are multiple functionality that this extension provides, but it is an excellent resource and any developer should have this within their reach. Sanjay, I think we have covered enough for one day.
Yeah,
We
right.
should end it here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was good starter for the development, and
Mhm.
next session will be completely based on JavaScript, right?
Next session, will just give you an relative idea of what we are about to implement.
Okay.
We would work around tables and how tables work, how table inheritance works, how fields and different field types work. Field types, fields, table, everything is linked into concept in ServiceNow, that is dictionary, and how can you work with dictionaries and how relationships between different tables work. Each and every concept that we see here, we will see how that indexes using JavaScript and how that same can be done using point and click. But yeah, most we will focus during these sessions that minimum PowerPoint, minimum slides, and maximum demo on the actual instance. So yeah, we will cover actual development next session.
Okay, perfect. So I think we are good for today. And
Yeah.
thank you, Kunal, for sharing all the knowledge. And yep, so I think those who are following these sessions, they are getting enough knowledge. So I'm sure on my channel, I have mostly Salesforce audience, but uh,
Yeah.
gradually we will be
Mhm.
having ServiceNow audience as well, because we are trying to create some sheet where we will be tracking the job opportunities. So maybe next week I can share the link of that sheet where a few
Okay.
job opportunities will be available. So I think that will also help beginners to apply for the job roles.
And we were saying, if someone is actually interested in getting to ServiceNow as a platform, just go to LinkedIn and search for ServiceNow. You can find me, follow me, and once you follow me, it will give you suggestions for other people who are in this industry. Uh, and I think if you keep finding people who are in ServiceNow, maybe for a week or two, you will simply see the number of opportunities that come by you. Uh, there is a huge dearth of ServiceNow developers right now in India. Uh, we at my company are looking for new developers, and we are finding it really hard to find good developers. So yeah, if you know how ServiceNow works, if you can prove that you can develop using the resource that we provide, you're golden. At least next year or two, you can get in easily.
Yeah, so I think we will help folks from
Mm,
November onwards for that purpose. So
mm,
let's see how many folks we can train and we can
mm.
help them to get a job in ServiceNow
Yeah,
ecosystem.
that's the idea.
Yep. So thank you
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Yeah, for joining the session, and those who are watching the recording, thanks to them as well. Okay,
All
thank you,
right,
Kunal. See you in the next session
thanks.
next week.
Yeah,
Bye.
right.